It was early 1994 in Kanazawa where the first victim appeared. Kanazawa is a quiet town in Japan rich in culture from the Edo period. It flourished thanks to the power of the Maeda clan after the Tokugawa. Nothing seemed to disturb the peace there. Not until May 4, 1994. It was about 6:30 a.m. where the body of Akihito Kobayashi, a 47-year-old man, was found on his bed already in state of decomposition. The smell was unbearable, maggots and flies were all over the place. What the police found was hard to explain. His face was just horrible, eyes wide open, one socket missing one of his eyes, but the other one was still there. Maggots coming in and out from every facial orifice. His mouth was open, but not in a way you would expect, like when a person dies and then the jaw drops and only after, when rigor mortis hit, it would stay. No, it was not like that. He had a smile. An abnormal one, very wide, forced. His lips were so stretched that in some parts you could see skin tear apart. The police didn't find any signs of forced entry or violence in the bedroom or the rest of the house. Kobayashi lived alone, no wife, no kids of his own. He was a psychologist specialized in people with depression and other mental problems. But later, as investigations led by the detective Yuto Suzuki got deeper, a darker truth was brought to light. 20 years earlier in 1973, a young graduate was leaving the bar after a night of fun, drinks and singing with friends. This young man, Akihito, was celebrating getting a job at a mental institution of great importance in Tokyo. Most of his friends would say that Akihito was a good friend, but sometimes, especially after a drink or two, he would get weird and violent. Some of the people that knew him never believed in the stories told about him, but one thing, all of them knew. He was attracted to men. It was not something that he openly admitted, and sometimes even that would seem like gossip, but it was true. On his first day at his new job, Akihito met one of the doctors named Tsutoshi Yamada. He was different from everyone Kobayashi ever met in his life. His beauty, he could say without a doubt in his mind, was different. No, more, he was the most beautiful man he had ever seen in his life. Sometimes it was a mixture of man and woman all together. Undefined, as only a god or goddess could be described, as if one of these deities would look at their reflections in the water, they would see Yamada's face as their representation. He had a calm voice, he was tall and gentle, but not in a feminine way, and yet, not stupid and all that masculine. There was no man nor woman that wouldn't resist at least the will to talk to him just to hear his voice. Naturally, a desire of talking to Yamada took over Akihito. He was shy at first, but Tsutoshi was a very polite man and made him feel comfortable at his new job, and introduced him to the rest of the staff. Everybody at the institution was so nice. They welcomed Kobayashi as one of their own. Days and months have passed and Akihito was doing what the other colleagues considered as an excellent job. As time passed, his feelings towards Yamada grew stronger, but in secret. As he arrived at his apartment, Akihito would lie down on his bed and get the picture frame of the entire medical staff of the institution. With a marker, he made a heart around Tsutoshi head. Akihito wanted more. He couldn't stop thinking about him. They became friends, but not as close as he wanted them to be. Yamada never talked about his life with Kobayashi. He only knew the doctor, not the person. One evening, as Akihito was getting ready to go home, he saw through the window of his office Yamada talking to one of the nurses. He obviously couldn't hear what they were talking about, but he saw something that broke his heart. He never saw Yamada smile when he was talking to Kobayashi, and yet, there he was, smiling at that girl. They were both laughing together. She entered the car with him. Akihito's heart was pounding. A storm of thoughts invaded his mind. How come he is making her laugh? How come is he happy with her? Why am I not in that car with him right now? He grabbed his car keys and stormed out of his office and ran to his car. He went as fast as he could, but where would they go? Maybe to her house? To his house? Did they go drinking? He never invited me to drink, he thought while driving. So, he decided to go to Yamada's house and wait in the shadows inside the car. It took several minutes, hours maybe, and he waited. He would wait until morning if it was necessary. Finally, Yamada's car showed and stopped. He got out first and then the nurse. And it was still there, a smile on her face and his. Akihito saw Tsutoshi put his arm around the nurse's waist and they went up his apartment. An animal feeling of jealousy and disgust took over him. He wanted to scream, but no sound would come out of his mouth. He was shaking, he couldn't take it. Without even thinking, he got out of the car and went up. By getting to the door of Yamada's apartment, he heard, it was faint, but it was there, the voice of the nurse moaning. Akihito wanted to break in, he didn't know what he would do. Just the thought of some other person having the man of his life in their arms was just too much for him to bear. He got back to his apartment and walked back and forth until sunrise. Next morning, he was late for work. It was the first time. Luckily, nobody saw Akihito arrive late. He went straight to his office and sat on his desk. He didn't have a minute of sleep. He didn't feel tired. How could he? His mind wouldn't leave him alone, thinking of them two together making love, she taking over a person that wasn't supposed to be hers. That night, after work, Kobayashi went to a bar and drank. If he could, he would drown himself in a pool of whiskey until he got unconscious and died. That smile was all Akihito could think about. A smile that should be his. And he wished he could have Yamada make him smile. They have spent hours talking about work and not even a joke, not even a casual conversation between them. Yamada had never made me smile, he thought. That bastard. I should be in his arms. I was supposed to be smiling and laughing because he wanted me to. I should have been me in his bed with him. Me. Hours passed, and as he drank, his anger as was his love for Tsutoshi grew. As an intelligent man as he was, Akihito came up with a plan to have Yamada all to himself. Again, he didn't sleep that night. The next day, he didn't go to work. People at the institution called his house, but he wouldn't answer. At that morning, Kobayashi saw Yamada leave for work. He didn't go after. Inside his car, he waited. Akihito didn't feel hungry, thirsty, or the need to go to the bathroom, neither did he want to sleep. He spent the entire day inside his car, waiting, going through the plan over and over in his head. He started thinking that it was exactly what he needed to do. Actually, what they needed to do, go away, just the two of them so they could be with each other more. Kobayashi had no doubt in his mind that was all the pressure of work that didn't make them closer to each other. He would be doing them a favor. That was his chance, his moment, the time he needed to love and feel loved. And when Yamada realized that his place was with Kobayashi, then it would be perfect. He could be a girl if Tsutoshi wanted him to. He would be devoted, caring, everything a good wife should be. It was his. No, their destiny. The afternoon came and went away. Night came, and Akihito's heart started to race. It went stronger when he saw the love of his life's car park in its usual place. The man got out of the car. He was even more handsome that night. His hair poured down in a black cascade. Tall and slender Yamada walked up the stairs to his apartment. Akihito followed. As he was getting ready to take a shower, Yamada heard the door knock. "Who is it?" he asked. "Kobayashi," a voice said on the other side. Yamada opened the door to see his colleague standing with his eyes fixed on his. His face was most definitely tired, but still showed some kind of excitement. "Kobayashi-san, are you okay? You didn't go to work today. We tried to call you. I was worried. I even thought about going to your place to see if you were okay." "No, I'm not okay," Akihito replied with a sad voice. And then from his back he pulled a heavy cylindrical metal object, and then his voice changed. "But we'll be," and struck Yamada on the head, knocking him out. Sometime later Yamada woke up. His head was throbbing, a small stream of blood running down his forehead. An immediate sense of danger struck him and he tried to move, but couldn't do so. He was tied with his hands on his back. He looked around. He didn't recognize the place. It seemed old, abandoned, a lot of boxes around. For him seemed like a place forgotten in time. Out of the shadows Kobayashi appeared. He had his eyes wide open, measuring, analyzing, contemplating. That even hurt. That man on the floor was still the most beautiful representation a human being could be. And now, he was all his. No nurses, no doctors, no patients between them. He walked slowly towards Yamada, who looked back at him with disbelief. "Kobayashi-san, what are you doing?" Akihito kneeled in front of Tsutoshi and with the back of his hands caressed his love's face. "Claiming what's mine," he answered. "What?" Yamada was confused. "Why her?" Kobayashi asked with a hurt tone in his voice. "What do you mean? What are you doing? Let me go." Yamada started to get nervous. "Why her and not me?" Akihito yelled at Tsutoshi. "She is only a stupid nurse. She is not smart. She didn't go to university. She will never, ever love you like I do. Is this some kind of a joke? This is not funny. Let me go, now." He tried to get up, but then Kobayashi pushed him down again. "Don't you see? We are supposed to be together, you and me, forever. Tell me, did that stupid cow mean something to you? Would she be able to take care of you like I would? Would she be able to make love to you every day if you wanted like I would? Only I know how to appreciate how beautiful you are." His hands went to caress Tsutoshi again. "Get your hands off of me," Yamada yelled. "You don't even let me touch you," Akihito said. "Why?" he yelled in anger, grabbing his own hair and trying to pull. "Why do you let her? Why do you let her touch you? Why do you let her make you smile? She is my girlfriend, you demented freak," Yamada yelled back. There was silence and gave a horrific sense of dread to Tsutoshi. Akihito stood up, walked backwards some steps as if someone had hit him on the face. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. Girlfriend? How was that even possible? How could Yamada do that to him knowing that he was in his life now? No, he couldn't allow that. He wouldn't allow that. Anger and hate started to burn inside him. Yamada is mine. Mine. He looked at Tsutoshi, that looked back with despise and hatred towards him. That worthless nurse tried to break us apart. Look at how he looks at me now. That had to end. Akihito knew at that moment that he would be the reason for all of Tsutoshi's smiles and laughter. And most importantly, he would be the reason for Kobayashi to smile, like never before. Yes, as his lover, his wife, he had the right to demand. He walked towards Yamada and kneeled again. Sometimes unworthy mortals like that nurse have the luck to make a god smile. But now it was his time. He wanted to feel loved. Yamada had to love him. "Make me smile," Akihito whispered. "What?" Kobayashi slapped Tsutoshi on the face. "Make me smile," Akihito whispered again. Now blood came down from Yamada's nose. "Make me smile." Akihito hit him again. And so it began. Akihito would strike Yamada over and over again, repeating like a mantra, "Make me smile." Tsutoshi tried to scream for help only to be silenced by another blow to his face and body. The beating went through the night. Kobayashi kept repeating and hitting even when the body of Yamada stopped moving. The first signs of day appeared through some cracks on the metal walls of the place they were. Enough for Kobayashi to see the disfigured bloody mess was Tsutoshi Yamada's face. It was only then that he stopped. Yamada was dead. When Akihito realized, he hugged the body and cried, repeating "I love you" over and over again. And gently he kissed the deformed bloody face of his dead love. The taste of blood went to his mouth, but he didn't care. Later he dragged Yamada's body and put in the trunk of his car. They were in the middle of nowhere. He drove for about an hour or two and then stopped. Took the body out, got a gallon of gasoline, poured onto the body and lit up. The police never found Yamada's body or the whereabouts of Kobayashi. Years passed, and Akihito lived a miserable life. Every day and every night he would see the face of the only person he loved. In his dreams he would see Tsutoshi walk slowly towards him. He could hear his voice, but couldn't make out what he was saying. Akihito tried to move on, but just couldn't. He lived in 5 different places, ending up in a quiet town of Kanazawa. And one night, while getting ready to sleep, certain that he would see Yamada again, the lights of his house started flickering. A cold breeze entered the room. He pulled the sheets to feel warmer. He was so tired, more than normal. He didn't know for sure, but maybe he could hear steps somewhere around the house. As his conscience was fading away to the dream world, he heard in the distance, "Kobayashi. Kobayashi. I will." Akihito felt uneasy. "I will." Akihito Kobayashi opened his eyes. "Make you smile." A ghostly, horrific face deprived of all the beauty that once existed of Yamada set on top of him. Akihito didn't have time to scream. Detective Yuto never solved the case on who killed Akihito Kobayashi, but after investigating the past of the man, he knew he might be responsible for Tsutoshi Yamada's disappearance. From that day on, the rumor spread, and more people in Kanazawa would show up dead, with horrible smiles, and all of them had a history of abuse on them. 2 months after Kobayashi's death, another man was found by his wife dead with a horrendous smile on his face. Tetsuo Himura, a 56-year-old seller, used to beat his wife, always saying that she wouldn't please him enough, and that he would rather be with any other woman than her. Sometime after that, another woman was found dead in the bathroom in the very same way. Child support had visited her home many times because of some reports of child mental abuse. The 2 kids told them she always said that they were a mistake and that they should try harder every day to make her happy and not be a reminder of how miserable she would feel to look at their faces. Some people say that the smiling curse or Tsutoshi's curse will ever go stronger, that Yamada's thirst for revenge is eternal. There is no stopping it, because it is natural, as a smile should be.
If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and liking to help us bring you more Japanese ghost stories. Thank you for watching.